I tested an absolute metric booty ton of cameras in 2025. So today I want to share with you my non-biased, non-sponsored thoughts on the best cameras of the year that are probably worth checking out or investing in, and the cameras you should absolutely avoid. Smallrig Santa did swing by my house, which is amazing. So I'm gonna open up some presents throughout this video as well. Thank you so much, Smallrig, for sponsoring this video and supporting the channel this year. Freaking amazing. But first, a list of honorable mentions. I don't mean they're like all bad. It's just they don't fit that like amazing or kind of crappy tier, if that makes sense. They're just kind of in the middle. The first one on the mentions list is the Nikon Z30. This camera was cool. It had really good photos and it shot decent video, nothing to write home about. There's way better options for video for similar or less money, but it was overall like pretty solid. Then you have the Lumix S9, which I'm actually recording this video with right now. And I've had a weird experience with this camera. And so I feel like I've already kind of beat this horse too much to include this camera in this video. It didn't come out this year, but also not all the cameras we're talking about are new cameras. And I think that's what's gonna make my list different than other YouTubers out there is I test a lot of older cameras too, mostly because I don't get access to all the newest ones, but also it's just fun to see what still holds up. Another Lumix camera on this mentions list is the S1RII. I've also talked about this camera a lot. I personally love it and use it all the time, but it got such negative reception on its initial launch for its rolling shutter and overheating that I didn't feel great about putting it in the best category either. But it's also not the worst. It's an amazing camera still. I use it as my daily, but it's in this mentions list. Another one that's kind of in the middle is the Canon C80. I had a great time testing this camera at a rap festival this past summer. The slow motion capabilities were very underwhelming for me, but overall it's a really solid camera, but I still think there's other cameras in its kind of price and spec bracket that are better. Another one that's not gonna be in the best or worst list from cameras I've used and tested this year is the DJI Pocket 3. This camera is not new either, but it's been over talked about by everyone. This thing has been all over the internet. Honestly, I find it underwhelming. I think I've just seen too much hype about it. When I finally got one myself, I was like, it's fine. It's not the most amazing thing I've ever used. It's not terrible either. It's a solid camera, but it's not gonna be in the best or worst. And then the last honorable mention is the Sony FX2. I also had a great experience with this camera. Yes, it's got some rolling shutter, a few quirks here and there, but overall, I actually really like this camera, but also it got absolutely obliterated online, so I don't feel great about putting it in the best category either. Definitely not the worst category, because I think it's a camera that will be a cult classic here in a couple years. I have a dedicated video on all of these cameras. If you're interested, I'm gonna have tons of links below. But now let's move on to what I think is the best cameras of 2025 from what I tested. Now, full disclosure, I'm not a super cool guy that gets all the latest and greatest sent to me by these companies. I have to find ways to get my weaselly little hands on these cameras myself. So if you're here for like the Nikon ZR, the Canon C50, or the Sony A75, I haven't gotten to use any of those cameras yet because I have to find ways to get them myself. The good part about companies not sending me stuff is I say whatever I want with no worry about what anyone thinks. That's probably also why I don't get sent all the latest and greatest stuff, because I'm fully honest in my videos and I don't really care what the big wigs think. So the cameras on my best of 2025 list are not all brand new, but they are all certified bangers. I'm sorry to do this, but we're gonna open up our first Smallrig present, okay? This is a long form integration video. I'm gonna open up some presents here and there. Just enjoy it, okay? I wore this for you. We're gonna start with the biggest present first. Got this knife from my grandpa after he passed a couple years ago. Also got a little Gibson Les Paul back here. I miss you, Gramps. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Look how tiny these Smallrig lights are. This is Smallrig's RC 60 watt light. They're super compact. I'm using the 100 watt version. I have two of them in here, and Smallrig's lights are incredibly underrated. The quality of light is great. I'm using this one right here with a little parabolic softbox. I'm not being parabolic. At 5% brightness. So you don't need 100 watts if you're just using a little bit of light in a studio setup or whatever. This 60 watt would be more than enough. You can power it with anything that feeds USB-C power delivery. So I'm using V-mount batteries right now to power mine. I love that you can take these things anywhere. Look how freaking cute and tiny this is. We have more presents to open later, but now let's get into the list. Take one. First camera on the best of 2025 for me is the Sony A6700. I think this is one of Sony's best cameras in recent years. It's a APS-C sensor, the same sensor you get in the Sony FX30, which I also adore. Also the same sensor in the Sony ZV-E10 II, I think it's called. Their names are horrible, but it's fine. So the image quality is absolutely phenomenal for the price. The photos are beautiful. I think you get like 20 plus megapixels, more than enough for photography. I love Sony's APS-C lineup because the lenses are so much smaller. You can get third-party lenses from Sigma, so they're way more affordable. It's way more compact than full frame. So for traveling or anything discreet, I love APS-C. And the A6700 will not let you down. It's got an EVF, a flip out screen, nice comfortable body for how small it is. And it shoots 4K all the way up to 120 frames per second. The 120 does have a crop, but the A6700 is one of the best value APS-C cameras out there. And it makes full frame feel a little bit overrated. But there was a full frame camera that came out this year that blew me away for the price to spec ratio, which is the Lumix S1II. I just released a dedicated long-term review on this camera. I also had an initial review because I was part of the launch event. Thank you, Lumix, for being the only company to invite me to stuff. Very cool, thanks. In short, if you're interested in the L mount or the Lumix system in general, it has all of the best features of the more expensive cameras. You miss out on a couple little things, but they're really not essential unless you need open gate slow motion or super high resolution photography. In the S1IIE, you get 6K up to 30 frames per second open gate footage. Same sensor that's in the S5 IIX, so it's beautiful colors, decent in low light, great autofocus, the updated body that has the tilt and flip out screen. It is a incredibly underrated and well-rounded camera. Like, you get external Blackmagic RAW, internal ProRes RAW. This camera kind of does everything. It's one of the best full frame hybrid values that came out in 2025. I also tested another Lumix camera that I was very surprised by in 2025, which is the GH7. This camera is just like one of the most well-rounded video production cameras in that 2000-ish price bracket range. And I know Micro Four Thirds scares a lot of people away, but it's just such an old topic at this point that I don't care to argue about. You can get absolutely beautiful images from a Micro Four Thirds sensor. It's all about how you compose, how you frame, and how you use lenses to your advantage. You can get way more compact lenses and use the GH7 for documentary stuff or discrete stuff or full-blown video production. I shot an unbelievable amount of music videos and wedding films and some commercials as well on the GH4 and GH5, and no client ever blinked and wondered, hey, is the background gonna be more blurry? As long as the product you're delivering is quality. And the GH7 delivers serious quality. The next two cameras are ones you're not expecting, but first, one more present. What's this next gift, Smallrig? Look at this beautiful little parabolic softbox. Anytime I hear the word parabolic, you know I'm playing No Big Deal.
Only talk I do is edifying.
Build quality is insane. It feels so good. Obviously, you need to put your diffusion on there. Just look how compact this setup is, and you actually get quality light. It's the same exact quality of light you're gonna get. It's gonna look somewhat like this. Something like this will give you enough light, and you can power it with batteries, so it's just super convenient. Next camera on the best list is the DJI Osmo Action 5. I found myself using the Action 5 a lot this year. If you don't know, I have a second channel, a tech channel, where I make these like 7-day documentary videos. And I found myself bringing the Action 5 with me all the time because it magnetically attaches to metal stuff. The image quality is pretty good. I have a whole video diving into the best settings to get the most out of this camera, and you can get some pretty dang good results and then like match the color grades with your more expensive cameras, and it can really blend into your productions really well. The stabilization is insane on this camera, which is another reason I kind of stopped using the Pocket 3. The Action 5 is like just as stable as the Pocket 3, and I can actually put the Action 5 in my pocket, and it's way smaller, which is just super fun. I don't even feel the need to check out the Action 6 unless DJI wants to send me one, but I've had a blast using it this year, and I'm definitely keeping it in my main kit for 2026. The next camera on the best list is also from DJI, and it's an oldie but a goodie. I've talked about it a couple times on the channel. It's the Mavic 3 Classic. This drone, I think, is still underrated. I got it on an Amazon warehouse deal for freaking cheap, and I don't need a Mavic with the zoom lenses and all the fancy tracking and stuff like that. The Mavic 3 Classic gives me 10-bit log in like 5.1K, 60 frames per second, I believe. It looks absolutely gorgeous. It shoots in the full D-Log profile, not just D-Log M, and the footage is unbelievably clean and beautiful. I always use ND filters on it too, just to get the most cinematic motion blur possible. It looks so pro for the price. And yeah, I would recommend this drone for sure, depending on where this DJI ban situation goes. But the Mavic 3 Classic is underrated. Check it out. It's an amazing drone. All right, next up, I have another oldie kinda, but a goodie as well, and it's the Sony FX6. The FX6 was something I wanted to use on a commercial project I shot this year with my buddy Joe, and the footage was obviously super clean. It's Sony. It's the same sensor in the FX3, A7S III, so you can crank it up to 12,800, but it just has a beautiful amount of dynamic range. I love the colors from this sensor. Sony really nailed it. The autofocus was unreal, and the best part for me was the internal NDs. It made me think back to my Ursa G2 and just how convenient those internal NDs are. Yeah, Sony nailed the design of this camera. It's still relatively compact, it's pretty dang lightweight, and you get everything. Everything from audio to video. It's just an absolute video production workhorse of a camera. That's why I put the C80 on the meh list. It's a fantastic cinema camera, don't get me wrong, but the form factor and the usability of the FX6 would make me choose that every time over the C80. And the 4K 120 on the FX6 looks better than the C80 as well. So FX6 for the win. I don't know. I don't own one, but dang, when I had it for a little bit, I really wanted it. It's a freaking great camera. But a video production workhorse camera that I do own is the Lumix S1II.
Good naming.
Companies, we gotta work on our names. We gotta work on our names. 2026, New Year's goal, cool names for cameras. The Lumix S1II, it's not a cheap camera, but once you look at everything it does, it's fairly priced. But it does everything. Incredible photography with insane burst speeds. But it's not a photo first camera. The video specs are unreal. It does 6K open gate up to 30p. It does 5.1K open gate up to 60 frames per second. Cinema 4K 120. It shoots Airy Log if you have the paid upgrade, and the colors from the Airy Log profile look so beautiful. I've been using that more lately and loving it. IBIS is incredible. Autofocus is great. The body feels really comfortable. The flip out, tilt out screen design from the new S-line cameras, it's just great. They absolutely nailed the S1II, and it really makes me question, like, where do we go from here other than internal NDs? If Lumix could do these specs in a little bit more like video-centric body, like a Sony FX3 style body, which I really like, with NDs, dude, be game over. That would be something I could use for so long. That's like the last thing I want. But it just does everything. It's a video production masterpiece and one of the coolest cameras that came out this year. But another camera that shoots open gate, internal, 10-bit, 6K video, but is way less money and way tinier is the Fujifilm XM5. This camera is so freaking cool for the price tag. I think it's gone up a little bit with tariffs, but what hasn't these days, you know, society. The XM5 holds a special place in my heart because it has the X-Trans4 sensor, which came originally in the XT3 and then up to the XT4, which is one of the most beloved cameras I ever owned. I shot so much stuff on that sensor. Man, I kind of miss being a Fuji juicer, but the XM5 brought me back to those vibes. Absolutely love this camera, except for the fact that it doesn't have an EVF. That was the one reason I didn't buy one myself. It does internal 6.2K open gate 10-bit video in F-Log or F-Log2. The one like big video production flaw for me is the lack of IBIS. The digital stabilization also just feels like it's not really there. It's kind of on sleep mode or something. But if you can hold the camera relatively steady, for how tiny it is, the video production quality makes no sense. It's so freaking good. So check out the XM5 if you need an incredible, nearly pocketable camera for both photo and video with gorgeous quality around the board. Across the board? Is it across the board? I think it's across the board. My Zelda background turned off. Okay, the next camera is quite a bit older than anything we've talked about on this list, but absolutely blew my mind this year, and that is the Panasonic EVA 1. I made a whole video about the history and the beauty of this camera. I've always wanted this camera since it was first announced. This thing absolutely still holds up. It can shoot external RAW. The internal video quality looks beautiful. It's a Super 35 sensor, but that means you can put amazing lenses on it that are more compact, like, of course, the Sigma 18-35, because it's EF mount on the EVA. And yeah, this camera also just like kind of breaks my heart because Panasonic never made a version 2. Just make another one. Make your FX6 competitor. Make the EVA 2 full frame. It would be so sick. If you need a like video production or cinema camera, but like have a very limited budget, but you still want amazing images, you don't care about autofocus or IBIS, go with this camera, dude. It's freaking great. We got 3 more cameras on the best list, so we're gonna open up one more present. I have been very curious about this Smallrig product since I saw it at Cine Gear this past summer. I was gonna wrap these, but I suck at wrapping presents. This is so cool. All right, Smallrig, you just make fun, unique stuff. Look at this little guy. This is a Smallrig, what is this thing even called? It's like a Smallrig flashlight. It's like solid metal. Ooh, oh wow, okay. Okay.
Where were you on the night of Christmas Eve, Santa Claus?
You can do your lens tests with this that people definitely care about. Oh, you want bokeh? I got bokeh. That is very cool. Dang, that gets really freaking bright too. Holy. You put this little sleeve daddy on here like this. See this little, almost looks like a plunger. But instead of pulling out poop, you're pulling out cinema. And then look at this. It comes with all these little designs, like little gobos. See these little daddies right here? This is rubbery, so it's really easy to clip those into here. And then you just pull them out with the tab. But you could just cast designs in your studio, make it look like a window. This is obviously like super rough. It has quarter 20 mounts on the light as well. So you can mount this to stands, magic arms, whatever, charge it with USB-C. 3 more cameras on the best list. The next one, very similar to the first one, kind of. It's the Sony FX30. I'm not gonna beat this horse as well because I've talked about this camera a ton, but it's still one of the most well-rounded video production cameras for a very affordable price. Sadly has gone up this year, but it's still such a good camera. Dual native ISO, basically all the specs of the FX3 except the 4K 120 is cropped and it's kind of messy, so I wouldn't use that very much, but everything else, absolutely amazing. I still use the FX30 all the time because it's just cozy. The lenses are smaller because it's a Super 35 sensor and the quality is everything I need. It's great. The second to last best camera just came out recently, and that is the iPhone 17 Pro. I've had a blast making videos on this camera because it is a camera. It's phenomenal. Shoots 4K up to 120 frames per second. The 1X lens with Apple Log looks beautiful. The 17 Pro is just a no-brainer. For video stuff, if you're actually gonna use the cameras, it's really great. Now the final on the best list is older, but so good still. I recently tested it and made a video about it, and I shot a mini documentary with it. Still working on that, it's gonna take some time, but it's the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera. 4K. I know my BM fans are out there. I heard you guys in the comments, you still love this camera, you still use this camera all the time because it's so dang good. Yes, it has quirks that you have to work around, like battery life, the form factor is a little goofy, don't get autofocus and stuff, no IBIS, but we know that. We're Blackmagic shooters, we understand this. The image is absolutely gorgeous. It's micro four thirds, so you can use puny lenses and still get beautiful images, shoot B-RAW, shoot ProRes flavors. It's phenomenal. And they are so dirt cheap on the used market. I was seeing some from like $600 to $800 USD. I'm sure it's gonna fluctuate. Now let's move on to the poopy cameras of the year. Poop. Right after another present. Looks like we have another light here that's ultra compact. I'm always looking for tiny lights to bring with me for my tech documentary videos where I just have a backpack full of gear for a whole week. It's called the Smallrig Mini LED Video Light. How do I turn you on? Wow, oh my gosh. This is 100% brightness. Let's just, oh my, dude. You can go all the way up to 10,000 Kelvin or down to 2,500. That's actually a great, oh, that almost matches perfectly. This is really, really cool. I'm gonna have links to all the Smallrig gear from this video and other Smallrig gear I use in my studio on a daily basis, all linked below. Be a lot of linkies in this vid. But now let's move on to the worst cameras that I tried in 2025. We ended the best list with a Blackmagic, so we gotta start the worst list with another Blackmagic. I actually own this camera myself. I chose this camera, and it is the Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K full frame. This is just an interesting camera because it's actually really good in terms of image quality. They've been adding autofocus updates to it, which I've made some Instagram reels about, but I think there's been more updates recently, so I gotta test that again. The images are absolutely phenomenal. It's Blackmagic RAW only, but it's like the footage is no problem. It looks beautiful. It's the body shape and the usability of this camera that I can't stand. Like the crappy battery life. It's just a really frustrating camera to use. And I kind of called it the prototype Pixis in my review of this camera, which was actually the very first video I filmed in this studio a year ago. Also, the visuals of my studio from a year ago to right now is kind of insane. I called it the Pixis prototype because the Pixis came out right afterward and basically fixed a lot of my qualms because they finally gave us the box body. I definitely don't hate this camera. It's just really frustrating to use, and I can't recommend it now that the Pixis cameras are out. This next camera on the naughty list is, oh man, I got some flack in my comment section for talking negatively about the Nikon Z50 Mark II. I actually got flack from Nikon themselves. It was just for the price, I just felt like the video features were so incredibly underwhelming. I tested this camera with some third-party Sigma lenses because I try to approach my videos from an affordability angle because I've always loved trying to get the most quality out of more affordable options. So I like using Sigma lenses or Tamron or whatever. I've never owned a first-party lens because they're so insanely expensive and I don't get them for free. So I tested this camera with a couple Sigma like 1.4 primes. I talked about how bad the stabilization was in this camera, and it was bad. Like objectively, it sucked. Like even like just sitting there handheld, most cameras can hold their own. This one was just like, what's up guys, wanna go to the beach? And I kind of got flack from Nikon at an event for testing this camera with third-party lenses and then criticizing the stabilization. But guess what? Your camera's stabilization sucks. Like, I like what Nikon's doing right now, especially with the ZR, and I have nothing personal against Nikon. I just, like, if something sucks about any camera, I'm gonna say it, because like, you guys watch these videos and other people's videos to make buying decisions and to know what's wrong with something. Don't you want to know the cons? I said so many good things about this camera as well, because on a photography basis, it's a pretty dang good camera. I took my family's Christmas photos with the Z52 last year. Nobody wants to focus on that. I don't know. I just can't recommend it for the price that it costs and the video specs that it promises but doesn't really deliver on. I don't know, man. It just doesn't feel like a good purchase to me. But if you really like it, feel free to buy it. And you don't even have to say anything negative to anyone else. You can just use what you want to use. Isn't that crazy? Another naughty little camera on my list that actually did come out this year is the Sigma BF, the boyfriend. The body design of this camera, no question, looks cool, but it's all about form, and this camera is not about function. It's got a flat screen on the back that does look nice, but you can't move it at all. There's no EVF. The video files that come from this camera look highly compressed to me. The stabilization is bad. I don't remember if the autofocus is good or bad, so I'll have to just show it from a clip from that video. But I actually compared this camera head to head with the Lumix S9 because that's essentially what the BF is a reskinned, more expensive S9 that does less. I have a lot of negative things that I think about the S9 as well, but in terms of a comparison, it's a no-brainer for me. It's more affordable and does so much more with better quality and usability. So the BF is on the naughty list, and even though he's hot, he's just not marriage material. Two more stinkers. The next one is, gosh, I feel like it's rude calling them stinkers. There's two more stinkers, but they're not completely stinky, okay? This next one is just hard to recommend, and that's the OM System OM3. I made a couple videos on this camera this year and really tried to push this camera to its limitations with photography and video. For video, it's very lackluster. The 10-bit files look much better than the 8-bit, obviously, but they're still just like nowhere near where a modern video codec should be from an expensive camera. It's micro four thirds and it's pricey. So it's hard to recommend if you're video first at all. If you're photo first, it's a little different. Like the images are fine. There's nothing about the RAWs that's like, wow, this is amazing. It does have some really fun JPEG features, like filmic looking presets that you can bake into your images, some black and white modes that look I'm gonna worry about that later, it's my cats. Some black and white modes that look gorgeous and offer grain that you can bake in, but I recommended that they should just do a firmware update that allows you to bake grain into the color JPEGs as well. I don't know why that's not an option. It's just a hard one to recommend, even though I actually really like OM System. I got to work with them this year as well, and they were super, super nice. Like one of the nicest brands I've ever worked with. So this is not meant to be shade by any means. It's just from a simple value to spec proposition, I can't necessarily recommend the OM3, but go watch Micro Four Nerds. Her channel has been so good this year. I've really loved watching her videos. She loves this camera and has a lot of different perspectives on it as well. So go watch her videos because she's a better photographer by far than I am. So check out her stuff instead. I'll link one of her videos below. We got one more stinker. What'd you guys knock down? Oh, good, a TV. We have one final stinker to go over, but we also have one final Smallrig gift. I got to see this at Cinegear as well this past summer. They're doing like a Transformers collab. That's just insane. It's a little kit of like commonly shaped bolts for camera rigs. Got this really cool multi-tool, Bumblebee themed, of course. This seems like it's gonna be a legit multi-tool as well. It is, oh dude. Okay, if you're working on set, doggies, look, I actually have been needing a new pliers. That's crazy. It's got a ruler on the side, screwdriver here that swaps between flathead and Phillips. Come on. There's a bottle opener in there. That's hilarious. I only drink milk. Smallrig Santa really came through this year. Really appreciate them for sponsoring this video. We've got one final stinker, and I actually recently made a video on this camera as well, and it's the Fujifilm GFX 100 RF. I don't want to waste your time, but like overall, this camera is cool, but for the price, I just simply cannot recommend it. Cool that it's medium format. It sucks that it's f4 because you kind of lose the medium format juice. Just get an X100. It's way more affordable and you're gonna get more depth of field because it has a faster lens and it's more compact. The video was underwhelming for sure. Low light performance wasn't great. So again, just get a more cheaper Fujifilm, more cheaper. Good job. To me, it just seems like a super niche camera and I don't really know why people would want it, but I wouldn't recommend it for how freaking expensive it is. It's worth more than pretty much every car I've ever owned. Shout out to used car drivers. Let me know what cameras you want me to test, whether it's new or old, in this coming year, 2026. I'm super excited to enter year number 3 of full-time YouTube. That feels so cool to say. I'm still like so grateful to God and you guys and my family and just everyone for supporting this crazy journey that has taken so long. And it just feels like we're still just getting started. I'm learning so much. Go check out my second channel too, my tech channel, which I think is gonna outgrow this channel. I'm calling it. Make sure to text me when you get home so I know you're safe, and please watch out for deer. Follow me on Instagram for short and dumb stuff like this. Join the Patreon to get exclusive interviews that I'm adding to the Patreon this year. We have one for a film director of an actual feature-length film called Universe Designed, and an interview with one of the higher-ups at Lumix coming soon. So you'll get exclusive interview episodes on my Patreon and your names over here, which is gonna be super fun. Join our free Discord server for nerdy camera and tech friends. And please, for the love of God, remember that you are loved so much more than you might even know by Jesus and by me. More importantly, Jesus. But all right, I'll see you guys in the next year. You are good, and I love you. Bye.